What's up? I'm Harbor from Extra Credit Design Club, and let me tell you this. If you are getting into type design, do not design fonts in Illustrator. Do this instead. Alright, as I said, if you are getting into typeface design, people might have the temptation of starting with Illustrator because it's familiar, but do not do that. Please start with a software that is designed specifically to make fonts. I know there's a little bit of a learning curve, but if you start off on the right foot, your life will be so much easier. Now, what is that right software, you might ask? In my opinion, if you're using a Mac, you should start with the Glyphs software. But it comes in two varieties. I'm talking about Glyphs Mini and Glyphs 3. So in this video, I'm going to break down the difference between Glyphs Mini and Glyphs 3, and hopefully by the end of it, you'll be able to gauge which one is right for you. Spoiler alert, at the end of the video, I'm going to tell you why I think you should just buy both of them. Alright, first off, we are going to do a little compare and contrast in price. Glyphs Mini is €50 and Glyphs 3 is €300. Obviously, Glyphs Mini is a better investment if you are just starting off. You don't know if you like it yet, get Glyphs Mini. Second, language support. Glyphs Mini supports Latin, Greek, and Cyrillic scripts. Glyphs 3, everything under the sun you can possibly think of. If more than 7 people speak it, then you can probably design the font using Glyphs 3. Talking about features, Glyphs Mini, you can design a couple different features. You can do a little bit of ligatures, you can do tabular figures, you can do a few open type features, you can do kerning, and you can do spacing, all of that in Glyphs Mini. However, if you want to get fancier with the features, if you want to do style sets, alternative characters, custom code, if you want to do all of that, you're going to have to use Glyphs 3. Now, if most of that terminology went over your head, don't worry, you're just starting out, and Glyphs Mini is good for you. The next category is type families. Glyphs Mini is not great for designing type families. You cannot design fonts with multiple masters. So if you want a thin weight and a bold weight, you have to design them in 2 separate files in Glyphs Mini. It's really cumbersome, very difficult. If you're at the point where you're designing typefaces with more than 1 weight or width, you should be using Glyphs 3. Glyphs 3 also supports variable typefaces, whereas Glyphs Mini does not. The final thing I wanted to address is the plugins. Glyphs 3 has a big library for plugins that will speed up your workflow and improve your drawing and spacing. And Glyphs Mini doesn't have all that. You're just shooting from the hip with Glyphs Mini, which is fine when you're starting to learn the principles. But once you've designed 3, 4, 5 typefaces and you really are starting to run into walls about really making awesome drawings, really getting your spacing right, then it is probably time to get Glyphs 3. Now, just to recap, Glyphs Mini is perfect if you're doing single style fonts, if you don't want to get crazy with style sets and alternative characters, and it's also great if you just plan on designing in Latin, Greek, and Cyrillic. Anything beyond that, you should probably invest in Glyphs 3. Now, like I said at the beginning of the video, how I would suggest you go about this is buying both. Now hear me out on this. If you're first starting out, buy the Glyphs Mini software. It's €50. It's not that big of an investment. You can decide if you really do like type design. And once you've designed 3 or 4 or 5 typefaces and you sell them, you can sell your first typefaces. It's fine. Don't sell them for $60. But someone out there is going to be happy to pay $5, $10, maybe $15 for your typeface. It's not the most advanced, but hey, it gets the job done. And once you sell up to €300 or the equivalent, whatever that is, then I would suggest buying Glyphs 3. Glyphs Mini is a more simple interface. You're not going to get overwhelmed with all the features and buttons and knobs and plugins and bum 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 bum. If you start off using Glyphs Mini, it will be an easier just right off the go. And once you're familiar with that, upgrading to Glyphs 3 is super seamless. The interface is very, very similar, but you'll be more comfortable with it and be able to appreciate and dive into the more robust features that Glyphs 3 has to offer. Now, even if you want to stick in that Latin character set, single style typefaces, and not get crazy with the features of the open type features, this and that, I would still suggest that you upgrade to Glyphs 3 once you make enough money from selling typefaces. And that is because of the plugins. The plugins in Glyphs 3 are super powerful if you want really sophisticated, really refined drawings and want your spacing just to be locked in tight and to be able to do so very rapidly with a quicker workflow. It's going to be important that you have Glyphs 3 and access to all of those plugins. That is it. Just a quick one today. As always, I'm Harbor with Extra Credit Design Club, and I will catch you in the next.